Imagine for a second that there was a switch that you could flip that would cause your customers to come back and to buy from you over and over and over again. Imagine there was a button that you could push that would cause your business to go viral. By definition, meaning that your customers would come back and bring friends. Yes, imagine that you could get to the level of Chick-fil-A. Imagine you could take your customer service experience to the level of Chick-fil-A or to the level of Life.Church. What if you could do that? Well, on today's show, best-selling author Jason Young shares with us why it's important that we must reject just okay and how to create viral repeat customers. Ladies and gentlemen, today's guest, Jason Young, is the best-selling author of the new book, The Comeback Effect. Yes, check it out on Amazon right now. It's The Comeback Effect. You're going to love the book. You're going to love today's interview. Strap on a helmet and get ready.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
Now, 3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes. Oh, and yes. Dr. Z, don't you believe that being old or young is really just a state of mind, my friend?
It really is. I mean, seriously, it is.
I mean
because
that.
if you forgot how old you are, how old would you say you are, Clay Clark?
I think most people say, God, you're just so energetic. I'm 38, almost 39, but I think most people say that I have the energy level of like someone in the early 20s is usually what people say.
Well, yeah, and when you still have, let's look at it. I mean, physically, your head is so large.
Well, it's a massive cranium.
It kind of shocks people a little bit, but when they look at you, they go, you look young. You do.
With 500,000 listeners, Z, what I wanted to do, what you and I want to do, is we want to make sure that the listeners always have a fresh perspective to growing their business. And we want people to maintain a childlike attitude towards learning. And so there's 2 ways to do it. One, you get an expert on the show who's taught leadership to groups like Chick-fil-A or Life.Church or Ford Motor Company. Or Z, you book a guest with the last name Young.
Or you do the unthinkable.
You do both at the same time.
Be possible.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Jason Young, welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you, sir?
What's going on, my friend? Glad to be here. Thank you.
Hey, you've had a lot of success. I know the listeners right away right now are Google searching you. They're making their way over to your website right now. They're looking you up. What's the best website for our listeners to find out more about you? Because they always like to look at your site as they're listening.
Yes, so Jason Young Live, live.com. I will say this. If you Google my name, the first thing that's going to pop up is the murderer Jason Young. That is not me. I just want to clarify that.
Oh, well, just want to get that out there.
Yeah. So let's start off right.
Okay, I'm put that on the show notes. Not a murderer. Good to know. Now, seriously though, You have advised some of the biggest companies, some of the most respected companies on the planet, or in organizations. I mean, Life.Church, the biggest Protestant church on the planet right now. 250,000 plus people a week watch online. Over 100,000 people attend the church in person. Ford Motor Company, Chick-fil-A. Tell us, how did you get started? I mean, where did your career start?
It did not start here, and I never intended for it to be here. So I had always thought about wanting to do things like professional. Now, this is all over the place: professional golfer, sniper, or a physician. So since I couldn't do any of those, I thought I will do what I do now. And so the funny thing about it is, on a serious note, I accidentally stumbled into it, I say. So in having other roles, these experience elements always were thrown my way because they have always mattered to me. And even since I was young, I have picked things apart. And honestly, Clay, where I learned it from, my mom is unbelievable at giving care to people, and she protects how they feel. She tries to create these experiences. She's in medicine. And so I thought, oh, well, I did grow up seeing that. So when I couldn't do all the other things, I ended up in other roles that people were like, oh, hey, you just do the hospitality and lead teams and did it. So I did it. Well, what I discovered in doing it was I loved it, which is very different than what I hear a lot of people. Find your passion and follow it. I didn't. I did this, and the passion followed me.
So how did you grow up? I mean, were you middle class? Were you poor? Were you a ball boy for the Minnesota Vikings? How did you grow up?
I was a male model.
Oh, wow.
No, just kidding.
I was a hand model.
Yeah.
For my mom.
Oh, no.
My mom called me a lot from gigs.
So, I grew up with, kind of started out as a rocky family situation and then eventually was redeemed. And so it was normal. I mean, I have two brothers. And so we were normal. I mean, we had some struggles and some things of that nature, but I don't know. The biggest thing I thought is we were always accepted. We were always loved. We were always cared for, and so that's just what I saw modeled by my mom more than anything. And then eventually my dad, he adopted me in 6th grade, kind of because my mom remarried. And so that was a beautiful picture of, again, what love and kindness and care, everything looked like. So really, I think what I did not know is it was forming in me how I should see and treat people simply because of how I was seen and treated.
So, Jason, when you talk about the Rocky model that you grew up under, would you eat raw eggs and professional box and meat lockers and run steps in Philadelphia? Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, you must have read my bio.
No, it's surprising. I mean, you've said enough for a show already. The first 3 minutes to 5 minutes, you've said what a lot of people experience is that, you're doing something you never thought you'd be doing. It wasn't one of your life goals when you were young. I loved your. It's humor, but I love professional golfing, sniper, and physician. I got to imagine there's some truth. There's maybe a little bit of those in there. Each one of those.
By the way, there's a way to do that. I've been thinking about this, Jason, since you mentioned it, and Z is a doctor, so I'll ask you, Z, since you are a member of the medical community. As a doctor, answer the question factually. Don't mess around with Jason, okay?
Okay, I'm not going to.
Do members of the Taliban golf?
Yes.
So he could combine golfing and sniping.
That's an easy one.
And then if he misses, he could go in there and do some medical care.
I believe it's a trifecta. It's a 3-headed monster that is glorious.
That's a backup plan. Should his successful career not continue to be successful? That's a backup plan.
Exactly. Okay. I jumped in and interrupted about the Rocky. But, and so many people come from divorced families, broken families, adoption in some form or another, and the fact that you didn't let that hold you down and that you let it be a symbol of what can be and the love that is. There is something. I was kind of the same deal. My mom remarried and I was adopted by her second husband, and so it's that thing of that orphan spirit that can jump on you if you let it. Nobody wanted me. Someone, my biological parent said, I don't want you, which they probably didn't say it like that, but that's what you hear as a young person. And then to have someone say, I want you, I choose you. It's for a young kid, that's some heavy emotions.
Yeah, it's huge. In fact, fast forward a number of years. So this year I've been married 18 years. Well, about 10 years ago, we ended up adopting our own son.
Wow.
And so, would I have been as sensitive to it? I don't know. And so it's funny how everything works together it matters to more people than we can count.
Sure. Yeah.
So when did you start to gain traction as a expert in your field? Because right now you're sort of known as the expert in hospitality, in emotional intelligence. And I want to give listeners an example. When you go into Chick-fil-A today, and by the way, if you're out there, Jason Young, you're not saying this, I'm saying this. If you go out there today and you're in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I've seen this in Tulsa, so you've seen this, you can verify this. You go to Memorial.
Yes.
At 101st, there's a Chick-fil-A right there.
Okay.
Next to it, there's another chicken place. Side by side, neighbors on Memorial. Chick-fil-A always is busy and has a line around it, and they have the people who take the orders, the drive-through attendants. They actually go outside now to take the orders to keep up. The place next door, if you want to scare the employees, go in and order something because they've never seen a customer. So there's a huge difference between Chick-fil-A and the other guys. There's a big difference between the way Life.Church greets people with 2 volunteers per door, secular music playing when you walk in. They have a timed event. They connect with the emotion and they teach the truth. There's a big difference between great hospitality and bad hospitality. When did you become the expert of hospitality?
Well, I don't know that I am. I still have a lot to learn and have some people I admire in my own field. But I think when I started narrowing down what matters, I didn't feel like I had to do it all perfectly, but I did have to do a few things really right. And so I think where it's Life.Church or Chick-fil-A or, different organizations, companies, churches, whatever they may be, there are a lot of things that these institutions, these organizations have in common. And really at the end of the day, they are really focused on the person that they are interfacing with. And what matters is how am I making them feel? And you say, well, that sounds uber simple. We'd all be doing it if it was. But it is simple and it's not. It's hard to do because we fall in love. We are addicted to motion and we fall in love with so many things that we have the ability to do. The customer doesn't care. Make it simple, make it clear, make it clean, and help me and be nice.
When you say fall in love, it just...
Oh, wow.
I mean...
See, I've always knew you
we love customers.
We do love customers.
As the owners of business, Jason, we love them.
Because the customers are our bosses.
Right. And then I guess the secret sauce that you bring, or one of the... I mean, I don't want to talk about all your secret sauces, but one of the secret sauces you bring has got to be the ability to get that same feeling down to our employees, right? I mean, because we love our customers, right?
Because they are our boss. They pay us.
They pay us the money.
Without the customer, we don't have jobs.
Right.
Thank you, customers. Otherwise, without you, we would have to go get real jobs.
So give us a few of your, and I may be jumping the gun here because that's what I kind of do. Because I have, Clay does. I mean, he does all these.
He really jumped the gun. That was a massive
He does outlines. He researches hours and days and fast. And I mean, he doesn't sleep. And he'll do all kinds of things. But I guess jumping ahead. So what are some of your secret sauces for having that employee that I hired greet and love that customer as much as I do?
So great hospitality assumes great leadership. So if there is bad hospitality, I don't care to whom, if it's bad or great, then people assume, rightly or wrongly, that the leadership that leads that person is bad or is great.
Come on now.
Oh, wow.
So
wow.
If you want the customer or the guest to feel, let's say, seen, cared for, attended to, valued, whatever the word is then you have to design that in your own house first. So do you want your employees to feel seen, cared for, attended to, valued? You cannot ask them to deliver something that you are not helping them to feel and experience. So start in your own house and then work your way out.
There you go.
It's not a coincidence that the top companies that are most loved by customers, if I said them, you would know what they are. One of the things that they have as a common denominator, and they will tell you this, it's proven in the research, they will prioritize their employees over their customers. And guess what? You and me, we shop at all of them. And so we just have to figure out how do we demonstrate based on what people need, what they want. Like, what do I want to create? Do I want it to be fun? And, whatever it is, I need to intentionally choose, intentionally create, and then they will do the same. You got to model it before you can ask them to do it.
Jason, I want to rightly divide what you said, because I know some listeners out there would like to go, yeah, well, what about this situation? So I'm going to rightly divide it, and you can pontificate and clarify for the listeners, okay? So here we go.
Got it.
You, the listener, are the average listener we have, the average American business owner has 10 employees or less.
Okay.
So there's somebody listening right now who's a dentist, doctor, lawyer, somebody with 25 employees or less, 10 employees or less. Small. It's not, once you pass 50, you start to move into large business, but it's under 50 employees. And what they did is they hired the wrong employee. Now, I want to make sure we get this because, Andrew, you worked at Chick-fil-A. Am I correct, Andrew?
You are correct.
You worked there. Now, Andrew is an A player. There, and I have two of my very good friends who have gone on to become Life.Church campus pastors. They are also very sharp guys. So when you're a sharp employee, you deserve to be treated really, really well. But you also don't want to hire nefarious employees and then try to coddle them. So could you explain the difference? Because I think somebody out there right now has a team of pirates. Jason, my first company was called DJConnection.com. Which regrettably we provided DJ services to people who needed DJs. We did 4,000 events a year, clubs, a lot of weddings, and any guy in his 40s who wants to be a DJ, lives with his mom, and has a drug addiction. It was quite a thing. So I'm just saying, I managed a team of pirates. It was like the Pirates of the Caribbean every day.
Come on now.
So those guys, they would say stuff like, things I shouldn't even repeat, but it's just things where they have a lot of addictions and issues. So, Jason, what would you say, first off, and then we'll get into treating the employees right, what would you say if you clearly have hired the wrong person? Let's just start there. What if we've clearly hired somebody with a laser show of personal issues that rival the character traits of some of the frat boys in Animal House? That sort of thing. What do you do if that's your team, if you've assembled right now?
Quit. No, I'm just kidding. Don't.
Okay.
So if you're the leader, you have to own whoever's in your office.
Okay.
So you pointing and blaming, look, you're the leader. Suck it up, Buttercup, and own it. Now don't stay there. So figuring out what do we need? What types of people? So for instance, what's important to me in working with different companies and churches is what are the things that are important and valuable to us? Sometimes what a company will do is they will hire a body to execute a task. They don't thinking about a team member. They don't thinking about a healthy team member. They don't think, and the person doesn't have to be, 40 and grown and mature and healthy and emotionally intelligent. No. But they do need to fit a certain value system that you have established. If you hire warm bodies for the purpose of a warm body, then you know what? You deserve what you get. But if you decide, these are the things that are important, these are the values that are important. So every time, for example, if showing care and being flexible and delivering wow and, let's say those are your three things that are important. If you're hiring somebody that doesn't show care to the teammate by them or to other people, you got to ask questions that kind of unearth some of these things. Ask questions that are value-based to you because you are hiring them to work in your value system. And so it doesn't mean they have to be like you, but it does mean they have to live inside of your ecosystem, and they do at least fit the chemistry and the culture, and you check their character. So unfortunately, there are some people who are listening that you have people on your team that you should not have hired. Well, you just have to own it. Either you give them a coaching plan or you need to move them on. And that sounds very short and coarse, but it's just a fact. Try to hire people that fit the value system. Which you got to start. What's the value? What's important to you? What do you want from people? What do you want for them?
Now, Z, have you ever been to the restaurant called Dick's?
Yes, I have.
It's a restaurant in Dallas is the one I had gone to. After bridal shows, the DJs would say, we want to go to Dick's. And I'm like, what's Dick's? And they, well, we're just going to go to Dick's. And I'm like, well, we're at a bridal show for 2 days, and you're saying that the number one carrot you want if we book a lot of weddings is you want to go to Dick's. We want to go to Dick's. So we go into Dick's, and I wasn't aware of the theme. But apparently Dick's Last Resort is a restaurant where the employees there mock you, are cantankerous.
Yeah.
And they basically insult you for the vast majority of the time you're there. And I wasn't, the first time I was there, I wasn't aware of the theme.
Oh.
Probably should have guessed.
Did you catch on quickly? Or were you
I caught on in about 5 minutes. But I remember I go there and the guy says, what do you want to get? And I said something like, I'll get let me get a glass of wine and then whatever and a hamburger, or something. And the guy's like, oh.
Well, that's a mighty large head you got there. You sure?
I remember he looked at me and he said something like, oh, so a lady drink. I respect that. I respect that, sir. And with all due non-respect that I really shouldn't give you at all. Boo! He comes back and brings me like a blue moon. And he's like, this right here is what a man should drink, but I did get you a hula skirt if you'd put it on, please. And I'm like, what? And he goes, no, I'll kick you right out if you want. And I'm like, what is this place?
What is going on?
This is a place where they insult you as part of the theme.
Yes.
Those people are not working at Life.Church is what I'm saying.
Well, they might be because they're good
I
at their
don't know.
job.
There's some crazy characters at Life.Church.
It's just like you got to find people that fit the role, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Find the people that fit the values,
Yeah.
fit the role. Now, somebody might say, you wrote this new book called The Comeback Effect, and I want to know about it. But before I open the book, before I buy the book, see, it's an investment of like $19.
Wow.
I'm going to have to put.
Somebody's marking it up then.
Someone's marketed.
I'm going to have
That middleman dude, take
go
a
on
bite.
Amazon right now and buy a copy of it and tell us how much it costs right now to buy The Comeback Effect.
We
but
want
somebody
them right now.
Somebody's out there right now on Amazon going, look, I'm going to have to like say no to the upsell at Taco Bueno or
I
something.
might not be able to do
How much is
Starbucks
it?
this week.
$9.98
Okay, so somebody's
$9.98.
going to have
That's a
to
good price.
say no to a regrettable purchase at Quick Trip right now
or Starbucks
to afford this book or Starbucks. And they're thinking, before I invest $9.99, what gives you the platform or the expertise to speak to me? Can you share a little bit about your background? Because I don't want to paint you into a corner and make you say where you were last working at, but you had a pretty incredible role there, and I think maybe that would give some credibility to the listeners out there that maybe aren't as familiar with your background as we are.
Yeah, and so, I work alongside companies and churches. Worked at North Point Ministries where, was responsible for the guest experience. I mean, there were a lot of people that made this happen. I think if you were to say why you, I think a great question to ask is why not? I think a lot of times what you will read in the book is because over the years, I did the opposite of all of these things. Even though I knew what was right, I am so task and results driven. I would just need people to help make things happen. Well, what I didn't realize, I was delivering something I thought great to the guest, but I was missing the very people that I was wanting to deliver it to the guest, and I was hurting them. And so that's why that volunteer, that employee experience is so great. So from a creative side, yes, I've worked with some great organizations and companies, not just in a coaching consultant, but literally, because usually that's where I rub people the wrong way. Oh, you haven't done it full time. No, I have. Day in and day out, created processes and systems and people and yada, yada, yada. So I feel like I have done it enough where I can be a help. I'm not a master. I just kind of see myself as a guide who could come along and shed some insight into something that I didn't create. I'm just adding my thoughts to.
Well, your book, when you look at your book, Z, we've had Pastor Craig Rochelle on our podcast. And let me tell you what, one of the hardest guys to book. And he actually endorses this book. If I'm correct, I could have blacked out. Z, I could have been sleeping. I could have envisioned this. But I believe, Jason, that we have Pastor Craig endorses your book, as well as Horst Schultz, the co-founder of the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Group, who we've also had on the show. These are people praising your book. Am I making that up, or is that real?
That is real.
Oh, Z.
Bam, he shoots and scores.
Gretzky.
Wow.
Not denied.
Wow.
Now, chapter 1 of your book, okay, I'm opening up the book. Z, this is how it sounds in my mind when I open the book. It's like, are you opening a door book? Yes, it is a door book.
It's a door to the rest
A door that
of
leads
your
to
life
the
of hospitality.
That's what it is, a door that opens the house of hospitality.
Come on, Neil.
Now, chapter 1 of your book, you write, focus on feeling as much as you function. What does that mean, my friend?
Nothing but feelings.
So, simply put, we typically train employees and volunteers to execute a function. And we can do that every day, devoid of any feeling. But what if?
Wait, is that where their sniper stuff comes in place? Are they snipers? A function?
I plead the fifth.
Okay.
Sorry about
If I told you, like, I'd have to kill you.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So we're violent by nature. We missed our calling.
We don't know.
Back
I
to
don't
you.
know.
Sorry
Trying to
about
tie
that.
it back to
We apologize.
his life dreams. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, back to this. Sorry. Okay, so function. So the idea is, what if we didn't start with that? Yes, it's needed. I mean, you need, team members trained, and they need to know what to do. That's important. But what if we started with, how do we want somebody to feel when they walk in the door, when they place an order, when they buy a car, when they have a conversation, when we answer the phone? If you own a company and you do, virtual chat, like, how do you want people to feel? And use the vehicle of our function to deliver that particular feeling. Because people come back to stores, they want to do business with you, they come back to your church. It boosts your likability when you give them a positive feeling. So start with there, and at the same time use the function to deliver that.
I will say this was the hardest thing for me to learn while growing my first business, DJ Connection, and I will share with you why and how. If I would have had a book by like what Jason has just written here, it would have helped me, because brides would come in to meet to plan their wedding. Now, see, when a bride comes in to book their wedding, guess who comes with them?
Their mother.
There you go. So I catered it to men. Because I had a lot of black, a lot of decor, a lot of Darth Vader, much like the studio right now. A lot of just man.
And I loved your packages were like metallic names.
Oh, they were platinum, gold, silver. My packages
Rock.
for the DJ packages, they were
dirt.
very Star
You want the
Wars, very
dirt
earthy,
package? You
very
can right
monster
here.
truck, very WCW.
Yes.
And everything I did was very transactional. I didn't sit down and do an assessment to plan out their big day. I did like, do you want hip hop? I was like, do you want hip hop? Do you want
Surely you want
no
hip
hip hop, or do you want to be terrible? You know, and it's like I didn't mean to marginalize the brides, but I didn't know what I was doing because I wasn't catering to my audience. And the brides would leave feeling like they talked to a speaker salesman who was proud of the speakers he owned.
Oh yeah,
who didn't care
Well,
at
they
all
were JBLs. Come
about
on.
all
I
I
mean,
cared.
really,
I was
come on.
pitching to women
I mean-
Sherwin Vega and JBL brand names and talking about the features of the speakers, not talking about
many
the emotion
amps?
of the big day. And it only took me about 2 years to figure out that women wanted an MC and a host to lead the reception
Well, isn't that
and
something?
to artfully turn their dreams into reality and to lead people down the timeline. And I thought forever they wanted to have a club.
Yeah. Boom.
Like a 50 Cent concert.
Fog machines.
Fog machines.
Yeah.
So again, this is a huge point. Ask yourself, Thrivers, what do your customers want? What do they want to feel? Now, chapter 3 of your book, you move on and you talk about know the guest, which is what I clearly didn't do. What does it mean to know the guest?
Well, I know, right? I did not come up with this. It's slowing down enough to figure out who the person is in front of you. And so, I mean, people do this different way. In business, you know, talk about voice of the customer. And so like, all right, let's identify the voice of the customer. The thing is this, you have to know what they're thinking and feeling. You know, we talk about demographics. This is a little bit more, and Disney popularized this, but the psychographic, like what are their needs and wants and opinions and what's their vibe, you know, all that kind of stuff. You could do this through surveys, assessment. I mean, there's a million different ways you could do that, but this takes effort, time. You got to slow down. Businesses, a lot of them don't want to do that. They want to get after it. They want to make numbers. What I'm saying is this. If you would get to know the people you're going after more intimately is not a great word because that conjures up a whole different picture, but a little bit more in depth, then perhaps you don't work harder. You're just the old adage, working smarter. You still got to work hard, but it just feels like, oh, wow, Clay's creating something for me. You know, so it feels like you get me. You know, I did a survey one time for a particular set of volunteers, and these are CEOs and physicians and, you know, mechanics, stay-at-home moms, dads, all that kind of stuff. And it was about why they got up to be a volunteer. And so the question was one question: why do you get up to show up? And what's amazing was the very thing I had been addressing for so long on the 5 results that we got was number 5. And so when I started asking them, or when I asked them, I started changing how I spoke. And I was like, oh, well, then we started using it to a broader audience. And people are like, it sounds like you get me. Well, we do, because we slow down and ask the question. So that way everybody else that's not yet on the team, now we can use your language. So you will say, oh, you get me. You're using words that resonate with me. So it takes time, it takes effort, but it helps so much. People want to feel like you get them.
You know, chapter 4 of your book, you talk about being fully present. And see, we have time for 3 more questions. So I'll ask the first 2. You ask the final one, okay?
Ooh, there
so
we go.
question number 1.
Because I'm Zellner, because I'm a Z, I always go last.
Absolutely.
That's the move, right?
Save the best for last.
Oh,
your
there you
name's
go.
last
You
alphabetically.
just-
There are
you
many
just-
reasons.
You just...
So we say here, be fully present, chapter 4. That's the title of that chapter, be fully present. See, I'm going to cue up audio of the average American. According to Psychology Today, the average American is now interrupted over 90 times per day.
Excuse me, what'd you say?
So this is the average American. Let's have a conversation real quick. Okay, here we go. Let's do it. Let me cue my audio. Come on, audio. Let's work here. Z? Hey, real quick.
Excuse me, what?
Z? Hey, real quick. What do you want to get? Lasagna or... Hey, Z?
What? I'm sorry.
Sorry. Hey, real quick. Hey, that's how the average person talks now. It's a constant data smog of interruptions. It's just all this. What? Excuse me. What? Huh? You ask people, what do you want to eat? And they go, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I call it monkey brain.
What? Huh?
People are chronically distracted.
Then I would say a banana.
How do you encourage people to be fully present in a time where psychology today is coming out with articles? They have an article now called "Is Your Smartphone Making You Dumb?" where they show that the cognitive processing skills of the average adult on their smartphone is less than that of a third grader. How do you get people to be fully present when they're chronically distracted with their smartphone?
Well, I have to be the one to be fully present first. And so I need to be fully present emotionally so I can empathetically take this journey with people. I can be fully present physically. So I need to remember my body language says more than my words. I need to be fully present mentally. I press pause on what I'm thinking so I can press play on what you're saying. So it's not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. We're in the human business. But what people need more than anything perhaps today, and my wife said it best. She's a therapist. She said this. She says, Jason, I'll have a job for the rest of my life. I said, well, don't you think you're all that? She said, no. It's actually sad. I said, oh, my bad. Why is it sad? She goes, people will always pay me to listen. And so I thought, wow, the greatest gift we can give people is to listen to them, to give them a moment that's unhurried, to give them a moment that we're not distracted by the distractions, that I am literally, wherever I am, there I am fully, right? And because the last thing I'll say is this. When I choose to be fully present with you, I literally am holding a megaphone or a horn up to everybody else saying the most important person to me right now is the person in front of me, and I want them to know it, and I want everybody else to know it. And it's time we need to give people, and it's going to be hard, but we need to give people our full presence. It's meaningful, and it eventually will become memorable.
That's power. That right there, Thrivers.
I call that showtime, baby.
That right there.
That is hot. Come on, give me some. Give me some sound effects. Give me something.
I'll give you some more. Let me hit them all right now. I don't even care. I'm just gonna keep hitting them.
Holy cow!
Wow. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that.
That was good. My brain exploded inside my head just a little bit.
The listeners are going to listen to that twice.
That right there. If you grasp that, understand that, use that superpower. That's
like a lightsaber.
That right there, I'm telling you what will advance you further in this day and age than just about anything, Jason. I mean, that right there is a key that people have to understand.
Right now, he took the parties. If I was a DJ right now, if I was DJing at a club, I would say, how many of you want to take this party to a 10? And people are already like, woo! How many of you want to take this party to a 10? Woo! And people already feel like they're at 10. I'm like, let's go to 11. And people would get excited right now.
I'm
38. I'm not in a club. So he's going to do it again right now. Chapter 8. We're going up. We're going 8 for great here.
I wanted to marinate a little bit. God,
you want to marinate?
We got so many great things we got to get to. I know, but that's such an important moment right there that if people get a hold of right now, because it's so easy to have that phone controlling you instead of you controlling that dang phone.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Chapter 8.
Okay, go ahead.
He says,
Chapter 8. We move on.
The chapter title is called Just Okay. Now, you talk in your book about rejecting just okay. I have a phrase that I say a lot that I can't say on the show because it's a show we keep clean, but I'll paraphrase, is when you have a half mentality, your whole life is terrible. So I would like for you, in a nice way, if you come from the ministry background.
Let me ponder on that word of God.
That word of knowledge coming at you right there.
Just okay. What does that mean?
So there's a popular commercial that's out right now that talks about,
just perfect.
How it's not. It's really not okay just to have and be okay. So a lot of times what we don't even realize is we get sucked into this vortex of being okay because the stakes are lower. I'm lazy. Nobody will see. I don't have a passion for it. Like there are all these, quote, internally justifiable, but deep down inside, we have got to be able to be excellent in who we are and in what we do. Now, you say, well, I like, who deserves that? Well, look, you, the listener, you deserve that. And every person you interact with deserves that you can be excellent in who you are. You don't have to be lazy. The stakes are never lower. People are always watching. Like, there are all of these reasons, too, when a lot of times we'll spend more time on, you know what? It's fine. It's okay. Like, when did that become okay to accept okay? It's not. It's not. We have got to be excellent in how we present ourselves and how we talk and how we love and how we support and how we lead businesses and employees and love on guests and care for them, et cetera, et cetera. Like, excellence. Because here's the thing. If you're a business owner, if you're a church leader, the moment you choose to cheapen your experience and where it is no longer excellence is the moment you have decided on what and who you value. And if you want people to come back, if you want people to engage with you, if you want to have an excellent team member experience, you can never cheapen it by being just okay, because you cannot afford what it will cost you.
Amen.
You know, Jason, we've all walked into a business where the employees are doing just okay, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what I'm hearing from you today, the action step for people that are listening to this show should take home is this, is that as the business owner, as the boss, as the manager, whatever position of authority, those of you listening to this, listening to this right now, understand that it starts at the top, and that you, say you're the business owner, you have to make the hard decision. It's really an easy decision, but the decision to say, you know what, just okay is not okay.
And real quick, you just to give Jason some context, you own an auto auction, perhaps the largest in the state. You have an optometry clinic, perhaps the largest in the state.
And
you are one of the few people that owns a bank. And so these are real businesses that you have. So you are not just throwing this out there as a charlatan idea of like, oh, well, we should. No, seriously, you're not just like, oh, wow.
This is powerful.
Wow. This is powerful stuff.
This is powerful
you're
stuff.
passionate about this.
And if every business owner took this to heart and practiced these things that are being taught on the show today, then all these other businesses we walk into, we wouldn't feel like, oh my gosh.
We don't want our competitors to read your book, is what we're saying.
No, everybody but them.
No,
everybody
like,
but
if you
them.
own a different carpet cleaning franchise or a different hair business, don't read this book. This book is bad.
Bad.
It's a bad book.
It's not. It's shit.
Hey.
It's not even okay. Go ahead.
I will say this. Somebody sent me a picture not long ago, and my book was on the back of a toilet. So, I mean, there are things you could do with this book. It could be a coaster.
A lot of free time right there.
If you want to be excellent,
a lot of free
if
time.
you want to be excellent and you want to reject just okay, and you want to create this viral repeat customer cycle, get the book right now. I want you to go onto Amazon right now. Z, we're going to see if we can get the listeners to go right now. Some people have carpal tunnel.
Well, it's only $9.98, as Andrew pointed out. But my point is that you leaders and owners of businesses understand it starts with you. It always does.
Yep.
You set the pace. You set the paradigm. You set the energy, the atmosphere of your business. And so, do not expect one of your employees to do something you're not willing to do. And you need to love on your employees, and you need to give them respect, and you need to treat them the way you want them to treat your customers.
That is
more cowbell. Always more cowbell.
More cowbell.
And I love this book. It encourages you to do that. And the point is, it's kind of like every time you get a complaint, you're like, oh, man, what are they thinking? They're idiots out. Oh, my gosh. What are they thinking out there at the front desk? What are they thinking? Oh, my gosh. Well, you know why? Because they're modeling the way you're treating them. 9 times out of 10, or maybe 8 out of 10, or maybe.
So, Jason, I want to give you the floor here. You have the mic to share with our listeners. We have about 500,000 listeners a month that peruse and use and rendezvous with our audio from time to time every month. So, what would be the word of advice or encouragement or the action step that you would ask all of our listeners to take today? Anything at all?
Well, it sounds arrogant or boastful. I do think the book can be helpful. I'm not getting rich. I'm actually sitting on my yacht in Greece doing this this conversation with you. But other than that,
Santorini is a fine island, by the way.
Yes. So I need you to keep funding those dreams of mine. But I think for you, if you picked up the book and maybe you went through it with somebody else on your team, you could go to my website, jasonyounglive.com. Under resources, there's a leader's guide for you that really have created questions that will help you. If you're like, well, you know, what else can I do? I have on my website as well, there's something called the Saturday Rundown. Every other week I send out just some snippets. I curate content on hospitality and leadership. My goal is for you not to feel alone. My goal is for you to, like, you have a guide by your side. I'm not, you know, some sage on a stage. I'm just trying to figure out some of this too and to learn as I go. But I think if you'll buy the book, if you'll go through it, if you'll give it a chance, invite some people to do it with you, and just take one thing. You don't overhaul the system, because it's exhausting and people will get discouraged. Take one thing, begin to use it, and then talk about it. When you see it, celebrate it. You know, when other people talk about it, and then just slowly do little at a time. It's called the aggregation of marginal gains. It's just 1% at a time, and watch what happens. Watch how you make people feel.
Yep.
Watch more people come back. Watch your bottom line increase.
Yep.
And just, you know what? And feel better at the end of the day that you are being a better leader.
Jason Young, thank you for keeping our listeners forever young. I really do mean it. New knowledge can absolutely take people. When you start to implement new ideas that work, proven best practices that have been proven to work over and over again, it can keep your business fresh. Z, it can take your company to the next level. This was a great guest.
Well, you know, the thing about it is, according to Forbes, Jason, 8 to 9 out of 10 businesses fail.
That's not a good one.
And,
Not a good stat there.
And I gotta think that it's not good. And we're about trying to change that narrative. You know, if someone puts the time and effort into doing something, opening a business, we want them to keep it and going, and having repeat customers, having happy customers. Anymore, it's such an important part of running a business, right? I mean, we all know that, and yet people are searching for the answers and how to make people happy, how to have them come back to their business and give them more of their hard-earned money for whatever goods and services that they're selling. So I love this. I think today's show's awesome.
You love this book.
I love this man. He's a handsome man. I mean,
He might come to Tulsa.
You
and
should
get
go to his
professional
website
love.
just to get a little eye candy, folks. You're welcome, by the way. Just I'll give you a little. You're welcome. Right.
Well, he's drinking a lot of fish
Were you
oil.
an athlete, Jason?
Were you an athlete?
Maybe a professional golfer or a sniper. I don't know. I mean, you look like you're smart enough to be a doctor.
All of the above.
All of the above. Maybe a physician.
Well,
I
Jason,
don't even
thank
know.
you so much for being on the show. And before Z gets too intimate with his obsession for you, and Z, is he still your screensaver?
Well, I mean,
Get out of here.
I mean, he was. Now I'm a little embarrassed. You
all
embarrassed
right.
me.
Well,
a little
all
bit.
right.
I mean,
Z, I think it's time to end the show with a boom.
I think that's appropriate.
Andrew, are you prepared in the show with a boom?
I'm so prepared.
Jason, we love to
you
count
ready?
down and from 3,
it's
2,
kind of
1,
our
and we
thing.
end
It's
with a boom.
kind of
That's
our thing. It's kind of our
Are
thing.
you prepared?
Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom.